Welcome. We're Lantern Valley Studios. We're going to talk about what is, objectively speaking, the best movie ever made, Princess Mononoke.
Yeah. What to say about this movie?
Uh,
It's a Studio Ghibli movie, and if you don't know what that is, links in the description to this video and Ghibli Fest, which hopefully happens next year too. But yeah, this is the second last video of Ghibli Fest 2019, and it's Princess Mononoke. We watched it twice in theaters, once in English and once in Japanese, and it's cool. The Japanese one, he commented how it's like it seems like a real old classic animated movie when it's in Japanese, as opposed to the English version kind of feels more modern. And we went with someone and they had no idea that it was made in 1979 or 89, I think.
97?
97.
87?
Yeah. But
That
anyway,
was old. Like
it's
two,
old.
2 decades old, yeah.
and it was just like that. She's like that animation and stuff.
Yeah. The animation is top tier. The story is just so complete to itself. Like we both were had funny experiences with the first, like the whole intro scene before spoilers, minor spoilers. Ashitaka leaves his village. It's just like this opening sequence. But after that sequence, I would have been satisfied. Like you could have ended the movie there, and it was worth the time and the money to go see a whole movie. Like any other movie, I would rather just watch that intro again, because it's just there's a beginning to it, solid middle chunks. There's all these different story arcs going on right in the middle of it, and then it's just so devastating. Like throughout the whole movie, there's every single interaction. Like there'll be just Ashitaka's arm, whatever, and Lady Eboshi standing there, and there's like the lepers around, whatever. There's like just in every single scene, like in that single moment, there's so much at stake that like there's so much going on with Lady Eboshi, like so important to the story that if she dies there or if she doesn't or whatever it is, like it's so much urgency just in that moment. And then Ashitaka like holding his arm back or whatever it is, and his strength, like that little guy laying there is like, don't scorn his strength.
And
or
then
whatever.
he goes and he like lifts up the door, and that was something that struck me in the Japanese version. Was like the first time I was really like, right, like he's becoming a demon. Like he's becoming this powerful thing that could be used for destruction. But I never noticed it before as much, because it's like he's so calm, he's so collected that's what the story's about, right? But like any other story, any other character who's like not so just disciplined with themselves, they're becoming a demon. And
like the strength and power of these characters, just for who they are, is what drives the story forward, and it's just accentuated by things like that. Like
Toki is a really cool, powerful character too, and just the way she's the leader of the woman, and she's so alert and smart, and there's a lot of changes between the English and Japanese version that helped me notice things in the movie that I didn't notice before. But even when there's some scene where when the spirit explodes and like there's all that wind and everything, in the Japanese version there's a guy that says hang on or whatever, but in the English version they change it to, I think it's Toki's voice. She's the one that says like hang on everyone or whatever. Like they just completely changed who said the line. And it's just because like the strong character, whatever it is, it makes sense that it would be somebody like her. Otherwise you can't really tell who's saying it. It's just some guy in the waves and whatever. The men weren't even in the scene at the time because they were trying to get back across the river on the boats or whatever. And so like it makes sense that Toki's been a center figure in this whole escapade of them getting on the boats on the river, that she would be the one to say the line. And it's just like little shifts like that allow it to cool little transformations and help you see the movie differently. I liked watching it in Japanese because it feels truer, which it is, truer to the choices and the real depiction that Miyazaki, the director, went for by choosing these specific lines, when they were said,
the original directing,
how they were said. The English version is apparently adapted by Neil Gaiman, which I thought was cool, and I was thinking more about that as someone I know as a person, having adapted it, thinking like, how did he adapt it? And there's a lot of great lines. Like we often will say the English lines like, I'm leaving and I'm taking Wolf Girl, and like good luck stranger, and all these lines that they're not in the
In the Japanese version.
In the Japanese version, when he says "Good luck, stranger," he just says he's gone, and like there's a lot of things that are different. Or like when Lady Eboshi gets her arm bitten off, she says, you know, a wolf's head.
I told you a wolf's head can still bite.
Yeah, she says that, and it's kind of what she says it earlier in the English version. In the Japanese version,
she just says the wolf's head moved, and
Yeah.
but that might be a translation thing too. Like obviously we don't speak Japanese, so the subtitles might even say something different. And they just translate
yeah,
it
so it's like
different.
another layer.
Yeah, like it's really cool to see. It almost feels like watching a new movie. Like after we saw it in English, then watching it in Japanese, it's so different that it's almost like it's two movies, and they're both like you can change a personality so much just by that, and even by like the little sounds that the characters make between scenes. Like when he's the one guy who's injured is freaking out about the kodama.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they brought reinforcements.
Oh. Yeah, he becomes more comical and different and lively. Where in the other one, he's more like this was a dire situation and a serious tone, and he's just kind of almost in shock. Like it's very different character and like the way
most
he's
of
reacting to
the
it.
English to Japanese translations, the English ones always have more background noise and background character talk and stuff that kind of makes the atmosphere more noisy and stuff. And there were moments in Mononoke when in the Japanese version the music was much more pronounced and like audible,
Yeah,
as opposed to the English version where I don't even know what it is in some parts, but it's like
it's noise.
there must have been noise that was covering up the music because it didn't stand out the same.
Mm-hmm. It's more. It's almost like they use if there is music or sound or anything, they use it very deliberately to accent things. So the Japanese has the bigger swing between like silence and them singing the Song of the Bellows, where in the English version there's no silence, it's a bit of noise, and when they're singing the Song of the Bellows, it doesn't stand out as much.
It might be more noise.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like less of a flip like that.
When after we saw the Japanese version, then we were like home for a bit, and then James was like, I decided that that's the best movie ever.
Yeah.
And when he said that, like the tone of the voice was like you know, I've decided. And then I thought about it, and I thought about like all the movies I've ever seen.
From Lord of the Rings to Gladiator to anything.
Yeah,
like
just
all
any
the greats.
movies.
Yeah.
All the great movies, and this one is like 100 times better. And it's just it's because of what I feel that in a movie, what this movie does. Like one example is I've been doing pretty much 2 hours of meditation since seeing the movie the first time, and it's like there's no other movies that inspire the purity that these characters portray, and that it makes me want to, you know, or aligned and into going into that purity. And then just like as you said, the urgency of things and like the seriousness and the there's just so much in this movie that it's like, and within one movie,
Yeah.
you know, and having like certain things Lord of the Rings has and stuff, they have good pacing, they have good whatever, but then there's aspects to it that are just not as like punchy and like in the kind of sense of like the perfect orchestra, like the
and it goes into like every single nuance again, like that we talked about in a previous video about how you have to really pay attention like moment to moment throughout the whole thing, like just the subtlest little thing. If you wanted to catch the little Kodamas walking up the thing and Ashitaka's slight smile when he looks up and he just barely sees them and then continues, like you have to be paying so much attention to the movie as these little Kodama are passing, and then he just like looks up, tiny grin, and then continues like one moment and then the next moment, and like every single moment it's not filled with stuff the way most movies are, where it's like stimulus after stimulus for a long time, and it's just like, you know, you're just caught in it almost, or it's trying to catch you. This asks so much of the viewer to pay attention and really be absorbed in it and understand it.
And there's still so much action, like equal or more action compared to the other movies, you know.
And yet it'll even hold back on that, whereas things like the Maro, the wolf, gets up and, you know, I was saving my strength for to deal with Eboshi, but I gotta save my daughter.
So
instead.
she gets up and she's gonna approach Okoto, the boar god, and he's got all demons on him or whatever, and like they could have an epic anime battle or whatever,
Yeah.
but instead the impact is like the fight or whatever could happen, it suddenly ceases with the forest spirit or the deer god coming, and like Okoto's eyes being like frozen, and then they both die, and it's just like that's just so much more storytelling there than to make them fight for like a few minutes, and it might look cool or something, but it's like it's really a waste.
It's like the difference in that urgency between like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader having a sword battle, lightsaber battle, like full of anger and intensity, versus just like a bunch of flips and fancy things that there's nothing on the line. And it's just like there for the sake of it because we can. And there's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into cool battles. We could probably make a really cool wolf versus boar battle of demons or something.
Oh, for sure.
But it's like the craftsmanship and mastery of storytelling and personalities and character, and like everything in this movie is just so strong that you can bypass all of that and make something so much better. And they just do it with every single scene. Like Yaku has more personality, and it has no lines in the movie. It's a deer, like a red elk, and it has more personality than most characters I've seen in most movies.
Yeah, and especially animals in movies, or like side characters.
Yeah.
Like he's a side character. Basically, he's the character the main character rides like as a transport. Like in most movies just be the kind of forgotten or like some
or
stupid,
slapstick.
Exaggerated slapstick like frozen deer or something. Like,
there's like some deer that's they need some way of getting from like one place to another and carrying luggage or whatever, and it's just let's throw some jokes in here, so make that deer or horse or whatever a joke thing. Yaku's amazing.
Yeah, and it's even in second best Lord of the Rings is, I think Lord of the Rings is the second best movie out there. It might be
tied. It'll be like around that tier.
Yeah, but like Mononoke is above it, but like
it'd be in the tier with probably like Nausicaa and stuff.
Yeah,
that's like very similar to Mononoke. Like so many parallels. Like, even going down to the bottom of the forest and seeing a Kodama or a Goggles. Like
I was actually thinking about it more, like to watch Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind and Princess Mononoke side by side at the same time.
That would be amazing.
Would be really interesting because I was thinking about it. There's like so many parallels, I don't know what.
The weasel
things, and the big god, and they have the battle at the end, and this. I don't know. There's
running through the forest, boars running through the forest.
I'm kind of forgetting now, but there was like a bunch of things. I was like, that might like line up like right on.
Yeah.
Okay, one of them really clear is the wolf is in the wreckage of the boars and everything after the bombings of the that Lady Bushidoes and stuff, and then the wolf Ashitaka lifts up the boar's body with the help of the people, and the wolf comes out and flies out, and then everyone's like, oh. And it's just like Nausicaa, where there's the bug that is in the wreckage of the ship stuff, and then like everyone's freaked out.
Comes out and everyone freaks out, and she just comes
shoot it or whatever, or like there's just so many things that are like, wow, this is like Nausicaa. Just
it really is. Like if Nausicaa wasn't really meant to be a movie, and they just made a movie because they didn't know if he was going to finish the story or not. So after a couple volumes, they did it. But with Mononoke, they deliberately made it to be a movie. So at the end of Nausicaa, it doesn't really finish the story.
It ends quick, and credits roll up, and it's kind of weird.
It's like, what happened to the whole forest, the whole toxic jungle origins of it?
Who are these
supposed to be the point?
Empires and stuff? It's like it's just less clear than like Lord Asano is given enough description and stuff to know like who this emperor guy is and what he's doing and stuff. But like the Torumikia Empire, it's like, what is that? Like you barely even know. In the movie.
So Mononoke is just like Nausicaa if you made it straight into a movie instead of some kind of like part of another story. Yeah, and that's why it ends up so complete.
Yeah, because Nausicaa is like there. I was thinking of Lord of the Rings too, and like Shadowfax, like he's given some character, as a thing, but he's not really in it necessarily. He doesn't have as much character really, like as Yaku, not even close. And like that's the beauty of the animation, is you can give the subtlety of say like Yaku like turning his head a certain way or whatever that you can do in Disney films and stuff too. But it's like so seldom really captured in.
Yeah, the subtleties are totally skipped.
It's
really.
all added to, like, they think to make, you can make a children's movie that could have that subtlety, but they don't. It's just thought of like, oh, let's just throw something funny in there.
Yeah.
And like it's like
made for gags or something. Yeah. The one of the things that's really key about 2D animation rather than 3D or any other form of media or movies, that is every single tree has to be drawn. So like I can't, that little whatever it was, the however long and how many images it took to make the Ashitaka on Yaku running through the forest. It's just like,
I don't know.
It was. I can't remember how many frames or whatever it was, but it took them so long to make just Ashitaka and Yaku running through a forest for a very short window, like 2 seconds or something. It's just so much work went into that. So every single tree and every twig, every little Kodama grin or face had to be decided and drawn. It wasn't just like somebody shows up to act and what they look like is already decided. They look like they do.
And
then you can put makeup and like whatever it is.
But you have something to work with.
Yeah. So like from when it's done from fresh, you have to draw every single hair on Hashitaka's head, scene by scene. So much precision goes into that, and when you care about your craft that much, and like you're someone as almost neurotic as the Miyazaki of like perfection, and then it stands out. Like you can see it.
It's a nice thing too to watch Princess Mononoke, knowing that Miyazaki like worked so much and drew like 80,000 of the frames or something ridiculous, and like redrew them and stuff. Is that it's like that's really the vision creates the masterpiece. And if you have like so many people working on something and you model this character this way and then they can only do so much animation wise, and it's not like, well, it's not subtlety of the hand, but then it's not getting into the soul of like how the specifics, the subtlety again, just makes, one line somewhere else right next to it changes it, and it's like you have a different vision. There's something else there.
Yeah.
And so they are so precise, and
which is really what makes almost any kind of really masterwork in all of time really has, if it's like some form of art or anything, it really does come down to the vision of someone and then some people around them, like the producer, Suzuki, like whoever else, like them getting a little ball and making that thing happen in line with whatever it is that they're really going for. And then everyone, like, there's just this support network that makes that happen. And like that's the way any kind of really masterpiece comes from. They don't happen any other way. There's like a huge community around it or something like that, but it always comes down to, it's like this Miyazaki guy, he has a really good vision in mind. He knows what he's doing. Let's follow that. And if it doesn't work, then you have somebody like Suzuki there to be like, hey, this is this done yet, or whatever it is, or other people pushing him to get it done, like whatever it is, like that type of thing. And Mononoke is just a masterwork.
Yeah. So
best movie I ever made, I declare it.
Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Link in the description. And we're working on 3 of our own giant masterpieces, and they're called Treasure Tales, a series of short stories in multimedia sequence of pages. House of the Heroes, a pixel art video story, and Lantern Valley RPG, 3 stories which are movie poster montages, and all of them are character driven and slice of life. And yeah, Studio Ghibli's a big inspiration, and we aim for the mastery of Princess Mononoke as our standard.
Yeah, our standards are very high, or rather, we have standards that are unshakable, and yeah, we are going to meet them. we will not be. We're not here to impress ourselves. We're here to just not unimpress ourselves.
Yeah.
That's kind of our motto.
And when we have Princess Mononoke as our
That's what we're trying to accomplish.
One example. And it's really, I mean, I see, it's one example, but Miyazaki said, like, he doesn't think Ghibli should get all the praise it gets and stuff, and it's because what I've sensed by that is that he thinks there could be a lot more done in
Yeah.
the same attitude and realm and kind of soul
Yeah, that
as,
work
as
is
the
totally
subtlety
possible.
of Miyazaki. It's just people are putting money into short term like sequenced movies that are all based on characters that are just kind of like half a character and less than half a character.
Yeah.
And it's not like, who is this person if they lived? Like, who are they? And
The,
that's why I've seen like all of
yeah.
Miyazaki's works. It's always about like, let's live.
Yeah, live fully, completely. Yeah, yeah. The that kind of completion of a character is one thing that you'll find across most Ghibli films, and Mononoke does it solidly, where every character really is complete. Like even the, I can see like villain Jiro or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's still incredibly intelligent, incredibly full and complete, and like you understand him so well by the end of the film, and that is not, and it's not like some understanding of just, oh yeah, his trope or meme or whatever that he falls into is like a little stereotype character arc, whatever it is. It's like this guy is a fully complete character. Like he has history. You can tell everything about him that like has never been said. It's just it's right there. You get it, and like that kind of work and care for a character that you really don't care about, like in a way.
Yeah, he's not like
He's not likable at all.
Yeah.
But like that kind of mastery, or not even like, it's not even a mastery really. It's like just enough care and just
Intelligence
work,
going
yeah.
into creating this person.
which is there. Like there are people in the world who could do that. It's just a matter of them, or just people doing that type of work, like trying to make
And
him on
having that as a standard.
Yeah.
Instead of just, I don't care if I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Let's just have a bunch of people, hire them all, and then everybody will just like work and make some movie with like whatever for the sake of making a movie, because we're a movie studio and we make movies. Like hopefully that shift will happen a lot more for a lot more people, a lot more studios, a lot more art makers in general, to do something that's a little more than superheroes fighting each other. And
The next movie in the Ghibli Fest next month is The Tale of Princess Kaguya, and just seeing the little short clip they show before the movie, and they show it along with all the other
a bunch of trailers,
trailers coming out in internet, or in US and stuff. It's like that little thing has so much soul in it, and like it's like this little baby, and it seems like all these other creations, they don't treat it like this baby. It's just like
it really is like the in the documentary of, or like 10 years with Ghibli or Miyazaki or whatever it was, there's some line in there where it's like, why would you make a movie, or why would you make a story that if it catches on, it's not going to change the world for a better, something like that.
And it was also like he's like, if you say to your like someone that their first movie was like, it's well done, a good job, it's like that's an insult. What you have to say, or what the movie should be, is they're putting their entire like everything into that movie and hoping it changes the world, even if the world never changes. It's like that kind of line, and it's like you have to put so much into it, or else there's just why are you spending the time?
If you're not doing that, if you're not even attempting or even like fathoming that as a possibility, like if this movie, say it does catch on and like the whole world like sees it and experiences this thing that you've put out into the world, this story, this essence that people can carry with them, if it's not making the world slightly different or slightly better, and then what's the point of it existing? And like that's the way, like Mononoke is that to the epitome. It was just amazing. Most stories just don't reach that bar, and we hope ours does.
Mm-hmm.